News.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast. Brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Well, we start this newscast taking a look at rainfall totals here in central Illinois from the last few days. Quite a bit of rain fell between Wednesday evening and then Thursday here in central Illinois. So we'll take a look at some of those rainfall totals here. As we start in Clinton, just a fifth of an inch of rain fell over the last few days here in the Clinton area. About a fifth of an inch of rain over in Farmer City as well. We move to the north in the Bloomington Normal area of McLean County, also about a fifth of an inch of rain from those rainfalls yesterday. Elsewhere in central Illinois, or rather McLean County, I guess I should say, just a tenth of an inch of rain in Leroy, about a half an inch of rain in the Hayworth area of McLean County, also a half an inch of rainfall a bit outside of Aerosmith yesterday, and the Carlock area, just a bit over a tenth of an inch of rainfall in McLean County from the last day or so. About a quarter of an inch of rain in Lincoln the last few days between Atlanta and Lincoln on 50 off of 55. About a third of an inch of rainfall between Atlanta and Hartsburg. About a fifth of an inch of rain reported in that portion of Logan County from yesterday, and a fifth of an inch of rain in far western Logan County in New Holland, just north of Mount Pulaski along 54. About a third of an inch of rainfall reported there. Let's move over to the Piatt County area, starting in Monticello. About a tenth of an inch of rainfall in Monticello from the last few days. Far southern Piatt County, about a third of an inch of rainfall here in the last day or so from rainfall there. As you move farther south, of course, much more significant rain from the last day or so, where Macon, Logan, and Sangamon counties meet. About a third of an inch of rainfall reported there. Moving into Christian County, Edinburgh, about 6/10 of an inch of rain from the last few days. About 2/3 of an inch of rainfall in far northern Moultrie County. 6/10 of an inch of rain in Tuscola. In Douglas County, Champaign-Urbana reports ranging between a quarter and 3/10 of an inch of rain in Champaign-Urbana. Nearly a half an inch of rainfall in St. Joseph from the last few days, and about 2/3 of an inch of rain in the Sidney area in the southeast part of Champaign County from the last few days. About a half an inch of rainfall in the central part of Ford County from the last few days as well. Peoria area reporting about a quarter of an inch of rainfall in the last few days here in central Illinois. Rainfall, as always, courtesy of CocoRoz.org. That is the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. Again, that's CocoRoz.org. Let's take a look at news here on this Friday. Clinton police officers will now patrol with body cameras moving forward. On the WHOW morning show Thursday, Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers told regional radio his officers started wearing the cameras about 3 weeks ago. He explains it took about a year to get cameras in their possession and reminds it's a response to the safety legislation in Illinois.
We actually deployed them just a few weeks ago, a project that we've discussed and kind of been on the radar for several years now, but with the passing of the Safety Act a couple years ago, agencies our size were mandated to deploy body cameras by January 1st of 25. We started this process with the council and the approval in this year's budget. I think, the initial order went in back June, July of last year, working through our vendor. And so we were very fortunate to be able to update our dash cameras in all 5 of our marked police units and also deploy our body cameras. The Panasonic Arbitrator is what we went with.
Some law enforcement officials, Chief Lowers included, early on scoffed at the idea of body cameras on officers. However, they have, to the surprise of many, become a tool that is, in a lot of cases, exonerating police in the actions they take in most cases.
But actually, most law enforcement administrators are going to tell you that actually while that may have been the initial onset of body cameras was for, transparency of officers' actions and things, it has actually benefited the officers so much more. To be able to take into a courtroom real time interactions that we deal with and people's behavior towards the police. Not only that, but evidence capturing and things of that nature. Over the last couple of years, we've kind of expedited this. It's time to get them, and we're anxious to get them, and we've got them now, and they have already been a huge, huge impact with our department. The sheriff's office has had them 10 years plus. We were a little slower getting on that bandwagon, but we've got them now, and they've really been a great resource, great asset to our guys. Having them out there, whether it's statistics will show you that but it decreases officer complaints. It captures a lot of, like I said, those interactions, evidence, things of that nature, statements when we're talking to people, just real-time perspective of what that officer's dealing with.
While he was resistant to the idea of body cameras but then discovered their benefits, Chief Flowers believes it's still a shame there is the necessity for these devices and the deterioration of the trust in an officer's word in the court of law.
I'll be honest, if you back up 10 years ago, shame on me, but I keep in mind, I'm 3 decades into a law enforcement career. And I thought in the initial onset of body cameras, it's a sad day when a police officer can't testify to what he saw. And as we've through the course of technology, now it's nearly to a point that if it's not recorded on video, whether it's surveillance video, body camera video, dash camera video, if there's not a video of the crime, it didn't occur. I mean, that's kind of the tone that we're at now. And I'll tell you, over the course of the last several years, I'm elated to have these body cameras. Taking it from someone who was kind of skeptical about body cameras, if you back up 10 years, that there was a need for them or a necessity to have them, this distrust of the police.
While, according to Chief Flowers, the effort to get body cameras on its officers was quite the undertaking because they are also simultaneously working on upgrading the dash cams of their vehicles.
There are grants out there. There's an Illinois camera grant. We did not apply for it yet. There's some reimbursement grants available, and we will continue to look at those. But yeah, it was a significant undertaking, especially because we upgraded our dash cameras at the same time we deployed the body cameras. So they're the same system. They work together. When one's activated, the other one is activated as well. They're activated through various means, whether it's manual activation of lights in the squad car, things of that nature. So it is, it was just shy of $100,000 project just to equip, our 12 patrol officers. So it is a huge financial obligation, but I just think, again, a tremendous asset for our officers dealing with the things that they're dealing with out on the street and taking it forward into the court system and everything else. I've seen just a continual, a gradual increase in the necessity for, as I'd mentioned earlier, for video capture, and so when it comes to prosecution, when it comes to trial, things of that nature, it's just almost a necessity. And I'm certainly on board.
While some critics of body cameras have been silenced, others still say officers are behaving differently because of the accountability of body cameras. Chief Flowers believes that is not the case at all and feels it reinforces the consistently good work of law enforcement in our communities. Teachers across Clinton schools were surprised this week when leadership from a nonprofit showed up with grant money for their classrooms. The Clinton Community Education Foundation, or CCEF, recently awarded its annual teacher grants. CCEF Secretary Chris Schaefer says this is an annual effort they do that helps bridge the gap that can enhance school classrooms, but may be things that the district cannot afford to fund.
Since about 2016, we have been awarding classroom grants to teachers. And what we do is they put in and apply for certain things that aren't covered by budget. They request cool things that will really enhance their program, which is really exciting. Last Friday and just yesterday, we went around and delivered 17 grants for a value of over $20,000 to a variety of teachers. It was just wonderful. Impact the teachers to help make their learning experiences more enriched, to provide extra oomph to their experiences for students to make it engaging that the budget just doesn't allow for.
Right. Schaefer notes they awarded 15 individual grants across the various Clinton school buildings late last week and early this week.
We spent Friday going to the high school. We dropped by Jared Weisler. He is requesting polar heart monitors, and they're going to use that to measure cardiorespiratory fitness of their students. We went to the junior high school. They had 6 grants there. Probably the most exciting was we visited Katie Vogel in the art program. She got a Glowforge, which is a laser cutting system, and it's going to allow the students to allow how to do digital fabrication and combine art with engineering and science and technology and math. So they're looking really forward to that. Haley Bevins is going to be using funds for a volcano project for all of the 6th graders, I believe. Danielle Ward is requested a subscription for a vocabulary program to enhance her special ed students. Diana King, she has special ed students that are there. She enriches their program by doing field trips. So we love being able to support that program as well. We provided some funding for the Central Illinois CEO for a team building exercise. We bought some games for language skills and practicing social emotional skills. This is a cool thing. Casey Baser requested an environmental science stream ecology lab. And what they do is they go out and literally muck around in some streams to test the health of the waterways, and then they bring their samples back to the lab and use some of the things that we're helping them secure to help do analysis. So that's cool. Tracy Manning in the art program got some digital art technology to enhance that. We visited Gail Bowman. She wanted 5 additional sewing machines for her family and consumer science students. So that pretty much sums up the high school. CES, they have 1 grant awarded for a book fair, their annual book fair that they do, so that's wonderful. And we visited Douglas and Lincoln. They wanted to enhance their library to showcase different ethnicities, cultures, and races, and they're using the money to buy, I think, 50 books each to really enhance what they have available.
Schaefer reminds they also sponsor recurring grants, most notably the Challenger program at Heartland Community College and the Read Across Clinton program.
We also historically have sponsored some things that were requested year after year after year in the classroom grants, and so we've just designated those as special projects. For example, we provide funding for Read Across Clinton, which is an effort to make sure that students go home over the summer with books in their library so that they don't lose those valuable reading skills over the summertime. We also help sponsor the Challenger. All the 6th graders have an experience with the Challenger Center in Bloomington, and we help fund some of that information.
Yeah. In total, the CCEF again awarded 15 individual grants across the various school buildings, totaling just over $20,500. The CCEF also recently announced it will be bringing back its annual Derby Day fundraiser, the Kentucky Derby-themed fundraiser, in May. We'll have more on that next week on Regional Radio. Stalking is increasingly becoming more common in cases of domestic abuse. Director of Services for Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County, Andrea Coker, says stalking is always an intentional act directed at a specific person. Oftentimes, the victim is fearful for their safety and experiences a great deal of emotional stress.
Stalking by nature is any pattern of behavior, usually or almost always directed at a specific person, that would cause any other reasonable person or right-minded person fear for their safety, or that it would cause any reasonable person to suffer any kind of emotional distress, meaning keeps them on edge. It's a very intended activity performed by an abuser or by a perpetrator. So it's not, stalking is really difficult because using the phrase stalking has become really mainstream. Like, it's almost slang. It's become a really laid-back term, when actually the activity of stalking is incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly fear-inducing to victims, and not at all a laid-back term or activity taking place.
One might think that stalking is growing in its occurrences thanks to the advent of social media, but Coker says social media is actually only a tool in stalking. Stalking is much more of a sinister activity than harassment through social media.
Actually, with stalking, social media is not our biggest problem. Social media is a tool that stalkers use to gain more information about their victim, to potentially figure out their victim's location. However, oftentimes people are posting on social media delayed, so they've already been there. So it's more of a tool for the stalker to gain more, like a deeper understanding of the individual. They can figure out where they work. They can usually figure out where they live, where they go to school, things like that. But as far as stalking goes, it's more of a tool used to perform other activities. It's really important to stalkers that they know a lot about the individual so that they can use that as a means of scaring them or things like that. An example of kind of what makes it stalking versus not stalking. So if I were to walk out of work today and find like a note or a bouquet of flowers on my car, my assumption could be that my husband was at my car. I have a healthy relationship. It's reasonable that my husband would do something kind for me if he were in the area. If I were someone who was under surveillance by another person, I had not told them where I was going to be, and I came out of work and found flowers or a note on my car, this is incredibly scary because now your stalker knows where you are. He knows you know where he knows where you are. He was deliberate in making sure that you are now unsettled. So even walking to your car and seeing it, you have no idea where he is, but he knows where you are and you know that. So it's such a fine line on what is dangerous, what is not, what is harassment, what is stalking. It's incredibly individualized to a relationship. So in reality, if someone is stalking my social media or slang word stalking my social media, that isn't really going to affect me. All right, so you want to keep an eye on what I'm doing online? Okay. If someone can get to me, that is fearful. That is scary. If someone knows where I am, is following what I do, is sending me, it can be still via social media. I've recently worked with a case where an individual was receiving hundreds of emails a day. They're not provoking. They're not kind. However, they don't have contact with each other. That is stalking still. Mm-hmm. That is a way social media or the internet is being used to cause fear to the victim. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, no. People experiencing social media stalking, yes, it stinks and it's not fun. It doesn't cross that level of more intense most of the time.
Stalking is not like unlike other forms of abuse in that when a victim is sharing their experience, these stories can often sound unbelievable. Coker explains a person who has never experienced this before is likely to think the situation is exaggerated.
Yeah, so it can be really hard for victims of stalking because also to an outsider, whenever they're telling a story about what's happening, it seems a little bit unbelievable sometimes. Or it can seem like the victim is exaggerating. Like I said, a lot of times it's at the end of a relationship, not always. It's just an example. So if a relationship has ended and then now the victim is talking about, but he won't leave me alone, he's showing up where I'm at, it can seem like the victim, or can come across like the victim is exaggerating what's happening to them, making it a little bit difficult for a reasonable person who's never experienced this before to believe them or to not assume that they're exaggerating. And because of that, it could be really, really isolating for an individual who's experiencing stalking. So not only are they then second-guessing themselves, a stalker knows that they're second-guessing themselves and that they sound or seem crazy, and will use that to their advantage to even do things a little bit more outlandish, knowing the victim is second-guessing themselves. They're likely a little bit isolated about the topic. They likely don't have a circle of people that understand what they're going through. And then they'll exacerbate the victim and make them maybe do things that are even a little bit crazier or meaner or more fearful, knowing that the victim is going to start to just accept that this is the way it is, or not even realize that there's something that can be done about it.
A victim of stalking changes a lot both during and after abuse happens through this method. We'll have more on that in the days ahead with Coker on Regional Radio News. But in the meantime, learn more about Willow Tree Missions by visiting willowtreemissions.org or find them on Facebook. News time is 27 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. More to come on the morning show.
March into Baum Chevrolet Buick and march out with a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have a good selection of Silverado trucks to fit your everyday work needs. We have 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s in regular cabs, double cabs, and crew cabs. And if you're looking for good fuel economy, check out our 3-liter diesel and our 1500 Silverados boasting a combined 26 miles per gallon rating. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
News time, 27 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. The state of Illinois continues to see high achievement in advanced placement exams. That's from numbers released by the Illinois State Board of Education. New data shows Illinois' class of 2023 achieved the second largest state 10-year increase in percentage of graduates scoring a 3 or higher on an AP exam. Erica Tiemann with the K-12 curriculum and instruction with the State Board of Education has this.
Over the last 10 years, when you look kind of from year to year, our participation and also our passing of the exams have continued to increase. Illinois has long been one of the leaders in advanced placement programming in the country, but really in the post-pandemic, switch to remote instruction, we've really made a lot of strides. While other states maybe maintained or even declined. So our teachers are really good in our supports for advanced placement programming, kind of make us stand out because we work very closely with the College Board who administers advanced placement to offer the course implementation grant that is provided with state funding and also the exam fee waiver for low-income students.
The Illinois State Board of Education is seeing so much success in advanced placement exams, the state will soon add more advanced placement exam subjects, including African American Studies. News time is 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. A look at local sports comes your way next. That follows network news and network sports.
With us, news, Donna Thomason. Homes, businesses, and lives torn apart across Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. Powerful storms have proven both destructive and deadly. At least 3 people confirmed dead in Logan County, Ohio. It's northwest of Columbus. Fulton County DA Fani Willis will find out today whether a Georgia judge will remove her from the Trump election interference case. Meanwhile, in Florida, a judge declining to toss out the Trump classified documents case. It's day 1 of Russia's 3-day presidential election. Vladimir Putin victory is a foregone conclusion. Trying to order a McDonald's breakfast could prove a real chore this morning. The fast food giant reporting a technology outage affecting its restaurants all around the world. On Wall Street, stock futures are mixed. The Dow futures are up 60 points. NASDAQ futures down 16. S&P futures 4 points higher. More details at srnnews.com.
With SRN Sports, I'm Jeremy House. In the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder bounced back from a tough road loss.
The Thunder regained a share of the NBA's Western Conference lead by downing the Mavericks 126-119. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 31 points and 9 rebounds while helping Oklahoma City shoot 52%. Jalen Williams had 27 points and 3 blocks in his return from a sprained right ankle. Josh Giddey chipped in 18 points for the Thunder, who pulled even with the Nuggets at 46-20. Dallas played without Luka Doncic because of a sore left hamstring. Without him, Kyrie Irving was the Dallas catalyst with 36 points and a season-high 12 assists. I'm Dave Ferry.
Other winners included Boston, the LA Clippers, Houston, Milwaukee, and New York. In the NHL, winners were Buffalo, Boston, Arizona, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Ottawa, Toronto, Minnesota, in New Jersey. This is SRN Sports. Men's top 25 college basketball, the Big 12 Conference Championship Tournament semifinals are set.
Baylor survived a late charge by unranked Cincinnati to win 68-56. The Bears have won a national championship under Scott Drew, but never a Big 12 title. Baylor faces 7th-ranked Iowa State in a semifinal. Top-ranked Houston jumped out to a 16-0 start against TCU en route to a victory. The Cougars square off against Texas Tech in a semifinal. Greg Eklund, Kansas City.
Among the other winners were number 1 Houston, 2nd-ranked UConn, 4th-ranked North Carolina, number 6 Arizona, 7th-ranked Iowa State, number 10 Marquette, 15th-ranked South Carolina, number 18 Utah State, 22nd-ranked Washington State, and 25th-ranked Texas Tech. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Normal Community used a 4-run third inning to propel them to a 7-1 win over Metamora in non-conference high school baseball action Thursday in Normal. Despite rain through the early part of the morning and scattered rain in the afternoon, Thursday's game was able to be played. In a scoreless game, the Ironmen put 4 on the board in the bottom of the third. Ryan Thiele was 2 for 3 with a pair of RBIs for Normal. Lucas Drengwitz doubled in a run off the bench for the Ironmen. Riley Hendren was 1 for 2 with an RBI, a run scored, and a walk. Caleb Hackman and Gavin Bourne had RBIs for Normal. 4 pitchers combined to limit Metamora to a single run. Luca Clunky got the start, going 3 shutout innings, allowing 2 hits, 2 walks, and struck out 2. Lucas Beatty struck out 5 in 2 scoreless innings of relief, while Reed Johnson closed out the win, allowing a run on 3 hits, a walk, and struck out 3. Normal is 2-0 on the season. The Ironmen are in action Saturday for a twin bill in Belleville, taking on Moline at 12:15, then Belleville at 2:30. Keenan Allen, the LA Chargers' longest tenured player, was traded to the Chicago Bears for a 4th-round pick on Thursday. Allen is going into the final year of a 4-year extension he signed in 2020, but the veteran receiver declined to take a pay cut or restructure his contract. His salary cap number for the upcoming season is $34.7 million, including a $5 million roster bonus that is due on Sunday. He restructured his contract last season with most of his base salary converted to a roster bonus to give the Chargers more flexibility. The Bears went 7-10 in their 3rd straight losing season and have not finished above 500 since going 12-4 to capture the NFC North in 2018. But they sent a strong signal. They're ready to start winning with their 2nd trade for a star receiver in as many years. They acquired DJ Moore from Carolina for the top pick in 2023. He set career highs with 96 receptions and 1,364 yards with 8 touchdowns this last season. Allen is one piece of what has been a busy offseason, retailoring its offense. Shane Waldron was hired as the offensive coordinator, while running back DeAndre Swift and tight end Gerald Everett have been added in free agency this week. Allen spent his entire 11-year career with the Chargers. He is 2nd in franchise history in receptions and receiving yards since entering the league in 2013. Allen is 3rd in receptions, 6th in yards, and tied for 10th in receiving touchdowns with 59. Allen was led the NFL in receptions through Week 14 last season, but missed the final 4 games due to an ankle injury. He finished 6th with 108 receptions and 11th in yards with 1,243. The question now is, who will be throwing to Allen and Moore? The Bears have to decide if they'll stick with Justin Fields or take Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. Fields, drafted 11th overall in 2021 by the Bears under former GM Ryan Pace, struggled as a rookie with former coach Matt Nagy. He has not developed as a passer the way the team had hoped the past 2 years under coach Matt Eberflus and new GM Ryan Poles. Allen has eclipsed 100 catches 5 times in his career, one of 6 players in league history to accomplish the feat. By adding a 4th-round pick, the Bears the Chargers will have 9 picks in next month's NFL Draft. Paul George made 6 3-pointers and scored 28 points. Kawhi Leonard added 27 as the LA Clippers beat the Chicago Bulls 126-111 on Thursday night. Los Angeles regrouped after a 20-point lead late in the third quarter, dwindled to 8 in the fourth, and stopped a 2-game skid, beating Chicago for the second time in 6 days. Both teams were missing key players, with the Clippers' James Harden and Bulls' Kobe White both sidelined. But with George and Leonard leading the way, the Clippers had enough to come away with the win. George was 11 of 12 from the field and one shy of a season high in 6 of 7 threes. The Clippers were 20 of 40 from beyond the arc. George also had 7 assists and just 1 turnover, with the Bulls double-teaming him and Leonard. Norman Powell scored 18 points. Bones Highland had 17 with a career-high 11 assists, while matching a personal best with 4 steals for the Clippers, who are 4th in the Western Conference. DeMar DeRozan led Chicago with 21 points after scoring a season-high 46 in Wednesday's overtime win at Indiana. The Bulls have lost 3 of 4. Nikola Vucevic had 19 for Chicago. Alex Caruso made 5 threes and finished with 17 after scoring a season-high 23 the previous night. Andre Drummond scored 15. The Bulls will host Washington on Saturday. Christopher Bell surged to the lead and pulled away for the victory at Phoenix after Joe Gibbs' racing teammate Martin Truex Jr. was forced to the pits for tires and fuel. The NASCAR Trucks and Cup Series returns to Bristol Motor Speedway as the spring race returns to its roots on the concrete after having been used as a dirt track the last 3 years. Bell started 4th and won on the dirt last year at Bristol. He led the final 41 laps to give Toyota its first victory of the year in the top series following 3 consecutive wins by Chevrolet. He is the 4th different winner in as many races this year and the 8th different winner in the last 8 races at the track. Chris Buescher finished 2nd. Ty Gibbs was 3rd for his career best finish, and Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney rounded out the top 5. JGR cars led 230 of the 312 laps last week, with Denny Hamlin out front for 68, Ty Gibbs for 57, and Truex for 55, while Bell led 50. Practice and qualifying is at 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, with race time at 2:30 on Sunday. Rajah Caruth became the 3rd black driver to win in one of NASCAR's 3 national series, winning after starting on the pole at Las Vegas in last week's Craftsman Truck Series race. Caruth joined Hall of Famer Wendell Scott and Bubba Wallace as black drivers to win in one of NASCAR's top 3 series. He led 38 laps and finished .851 seconds ahead of Tyler Ankrum. It was the 2nd consecutive victory for Spire Motorsports, formerly owned by Kyle Busch, who won the previous race in Atlanta. Ty Majeski led a race-high 40 laps and swept the first 2 stages, but penalties cost him and Daytona winner Nick Sanchez. Practice and qualifying is Saturday at 2. Race time is Saturday night at 7. Chandler Smith moved to the lead after a blown tire cost Justin Allgaier a big lead and got a huge jump on an overtime restart, holding off Jesse Love and Sheldon Creed at Phoenix, giving Toyota its 2nd straight victory in the series. But the Xfinity Series is off this week. They return for next week's race at COTA in Austin, Texas. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 57. Northerly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows level off around 36. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow, daytime highs